Oh yeah, you know what time it is. It's Jerome time, baby. Leveling secrets using the new 100% experience boost SoD Phase 2. Once again, I have a lot of alts planned for next week that I'm going to be leveling on. I'm even doing pre-questing. If I can open my quest log right here, I have completed all of these quests, as you can see. Even the ones that I don't have completed here, I have them in my bank. So I'm completing almost 20 quests on all my alts and handing those in next week. I'm prepped, man. I'm gonna be leveling alts like never before, so hopefully he has some good tips for me. Let's check it out. Did I mute the tab? I did mute the tab. Let me unmute the tab.
40 in about 2 sessions of playtime. I want to talk about everything I did to maximize my leveling speed and things you can apply with the new 100% XP bonus coming. Everything from how to maximize the world buffs, the sleeping bag quest line, how to maximize your enchants, your gear, and what to do to take advantage of the big open world questing changes. If you watch this full video, I guarantee you'll be leveling 1 to 40 in record time. So we're going to be starting with talking about everything you need to do to increase your leveling speed. I've got a whole section about optimal buff strategies, things I really wish I knew about the world buffs. And of course, optimal gear strategy, what to do to make sure you're really strong in the open world. But runes are really important as well, how to maximize your benefit from all the runes. Then we'll be moving into things you need to do to actually level really fast. The big debate
really
between
fast,
dungeon
okay.
leveling and questing that Blizzard really wants to shake up. Plus bonus advanced strategies like how to skip an entire level with rested experience. And we'll be talking about how
So, I've been doing 20 quests on my alts. I have bought all the Stranglethorn pages for my alt, so I can just hand those in. I have bought the jungle remedies, like the 7 of those, to hand those in. I have bought 10 turtle meat to hand that in Hillsbad Foothills. I have bought 9 blue pearls to hand in Badlands. I have bought 4 buzzard wings to hand in Badlands. I'm gonna be leveling a lot when this buff comes in, man. I want to see what you have to say here, like the best leveling strategy. And the optimal buff strategy as well. Does he mention pre-questing at all? Because like I'm thinking next week, when the buff comes into play, a lot of people will suddenly start questing. The mob tags are going to be horrible. The questing zones are going to be so popular. I'm doing all of the groundwork now. Nobody's questing. When I was doing my quest, even the Yeti Cave in Hillsbad was empty. That one is usually full, and it was empty now.
I got pretty rich leveling as well. So getting into the optimal buff strategy, buffs are a big game changer in Season of Discovery Phase 2. We've got the summoners, we've got the portals to every single major city. So really we've got 3 major buffs, the Spark, the Boon, and the Dark Moon Fair. Spark and Boon really only consistently drop at peak hours, so you gotta make sure to plan around that. I personally find the Boon to be the most valuable, so I usually put my Hearth in Thunder Bluff to get the buff more often. Dark Moon Fair 10% is also really reliable, but you can only get it once every 4 hours. Overall, my goal was to be buffed every single second I leveled from 1 to 20. Then above 20, depending on the zone, I selectively decided which times to be buffed up. I usually booned my buffs in places like Ashen Vale, for example. Then I unbooned in Thousand Needles since I knew I'd be safer in a more horde area. Getting into the optimal rune strategy, this really is the most important part of the leveling guide. You've got to have at least 3 main runes that you're really confident in to carry your leveling to 40. For my hunter, I chose Master Marksman, Flanking Strike, and Beast Mastery. Everybody's going to have different ideas of what runes to run, so you should definitely check out your class Discord. Once you know the 3 major runes you want to carry with you, you've got to plan when to acquire them in your route. You could even get summons to the spots at level 1 if you really want to go crazy. So with all your runes sorted, we've got to talk optimal gear strategy. The first thing I did with gearing was to head to the auction house. I got full 12-slot bags to store all my quest items and waylaid supplies as well. I also bought the best gear I could find for different level bands. As a hunter, I just went for maximum agility gear. I also got new bows every few levels. Overall, I'd recommend checking the auction house every 6 to 8 levels. Then for enchants are pretty broken because you can get insanely strong enchants like 5 agility gloves all the way to level 40. I also got an early 50 mana to chest and of course Miter move speed, which felt fantastic all the way to level cap. Also don't
Is it time to like twink out a character and get all of these enchants at level 1? Just running around, enchant a white item that can be traded or something, and use it as an quote-unquote heirloom? That could be crazy, man.
forget non-obvious enchants like the scopes to your bow to increase damage. Jumping into consumes, you can really go crazy with consumes. I prioritize mainly just Elixir of Agility for my hunter though. You could go all out though and get defense potions, strength elixirs, engineering dynamite. Everything you get will improve your kill times and improve your leveling speed as well. The most important consume you can get though is from the Sleeping Bag questline. The 8 student fodder you get will give you 20% rested XP each, but they do have a 30-minute cooldown to use. Most people are going to recommend saving them until level 38, but honestly I found there to be a huge metal boost to use between 35 to 40. Basically every hour or so I'd pop another one, and it really kept me going all the way up to max level. Oh, and don't forget swiftness potions as well. They're a huge help if you don't have cheetah like me. So let's talk about our leveling route. Starting out, I definitely recommend questing, and I also recommend questing with a friend to keep things fun and fresh. You can both get the Rested XP guide for free all the way to 22, and then split from there if you want to.
Wait, did I just see that right? 7.7 million downloads. 7,702,700 downloads.
For free all the way to 22, and then split from there if you want to. One of the best reasons to level with a friend is that you might not be very strong until you get at least 3 of your runes. On my hunter, for example, when I was very weak, I had a partner leveling with me, which really sped things up. Then when I was an unstoppable killing machine, I was able to go back to solo leveling. The other early leveling tip I have is to use Rank Sentinel to make sure you're not messing up skill ranks. I had some of the wrong ranks of abilities for a long time without realizing it. This add-on will never let that happen. So as you head out through the early zones, I definitely recommend doing the Sleeping Bag questline at level 14. Most servers
That's
have somebody
very early.
that can summon you to every single sleeping bag spot for about 15 gold. That'll save you nearly an hour of travel time. The sleeping bag itself should be used during break times. Like when you get up to get food, just hop in for 3 minutes.
But what about if you do the sleeping bag questline and incorporate it into your quests? Like as Alliance, for example, you end up going to Westfall anyway, at level, like you can go level 10, and pick up that part. And then just wait and do the Barrens part at some time when that makes sense. For example, let's say you do a Wailing Caverns run at level 18. You can pick up the Barrens one at level 18 when you're doing that run. And then you go to Loch Modan when you're going to wetlands anyway. So you can go to Loch Modan, pick up that one, then go down to wetlands, grab the wetlands flight path, and then finish the Hillspad one at level 30 or something. Or like 25, when you're naturally going to Hillspad. I mean, the reasoning for grabbing it early would be to have the 3% from the start, which I can see the benefits from that. But once again, you can use other people's sleeping bag. So if I was to really optimize, I would wait. I would grab them while I'm naturally leveling, that way you save that 1 hour of traveling time. And when it comes to having a 100% experience buff, 1 hour is 2 levels. Depending on where you are, 1 hour is give or take 2 levels. So I don't think, I would much rather sleep in other people's bags to as much as I can to get that buff, and the buff lasts for 3 hours. So sleep in someone's bag, wait 3 hours, have the buff, and find the bag again. And do it that way. And then just do the quest yourself naturally while leveling anyway. That way you have no downtime. And you also you save yourself 15 gold on the summons. That's just me and my preference, and I think that might be the best one if you really want to optimize. But hey, I'm just spitballing.
Minutes. Once you've got the buff rolling though, you can simply refresh it by hopping in for 1 minute, so never let the buff fall off. So
there we
once
go.
you're around level 22, presumably using the free Rested XP guide, from 22 to 40 we have 3 different options. Option 1 is the option I chose, which is pure questing. You'll get ganked probably around 30 times, but the quests do give significantly more gold starting Tuesday, and the Waylight supply drops from the mobs are extremely profitable. My profit particularly ramped up when I started killing mobs in the 34 to 40 range. I routinely got the 12 gold boxes, which also gave 3400 XP as well. Just open world questing without the new quest gold changes already gave me over 150 gold. That being said, I do feel like I got pretty good box luck. One other note on pure questing is that you'll often end up in a very crowded area. Being super flexible to swap to another spot temporarily will make a huge difference. When the ogres were too crowded in STV, for example, I went to the goblins. That spot was completely free, and I made over 40 gold from Waylight supplies. Option 2, though, is to lock yourself in dungeons. starting with SFK around level 22 and then Stockades or RFK depending on Alliance or Horde. You'd also want to fit in a BFD clear every 3 days. You were originally getting 23,000 XP per clear, but that's going to be doubling on Tuesday. That's basically a full level every single time you...
That's 46,000 XP from BFD. Oh my days, that's gonna be huge.
...do the raid. The biggest key is to make sure you have a high chance at getting the relevant pre-bis gear like the staff. I would highly recommend making sure you have a balanced group comp. Also, make sure not to die, because it didn't seem like I got any XP when I died on one of the bosses.
You don't,
Then you would follow that up with pretty much just Scarlet Monastery spam. This is the preferred method for most players. That being said, groups can be pretty annoying to form. Plus, you'll be losing out on a lot of potential profit. The third option, which is really my recommendation, is to quest 22 to 40. At the same time, you're mixing in SM spam when the group...
Imagine being rested as well. Yeah, literally. So 46,000, that means 92,000 XP from one BFD if you're full rested. That is nuts. Actually nuts.
Groups are convenient. Surprisingly, the gap between open world leveling and questing isn't as huge as I thought. At least if you don't have those consistent elite dungeon groups. What's really nice about jumping between dungeons and the open world as well is that there's really no disadvantage to being a level or two ahead in a questing route. You kill everything faster and you get more XP per hour in most cases. So I just said that questing and dungeons aren't that far away in XP. I really meant that though when you're not getting ganked.
Yeah.
In some of the zones I got ganked way more than in the other zones. For Horde that was mainly Hillsbrad and a really Stranglethorn Vale. Next time when my questing route sends me to those two zones, I'm going to replace them with just dungeons instead. So now you should really have a very good idea of what to do with all the new quest changes coming, how to maximize your leveling speed and your profit as well. I want to know, even after the big changes to the Waylaid supplies and the 100% XP bonus, which leveling method do you prefer? Do you still prefer the dungeon leveling where you're just in those mind-numbing dungeons for 20 hours straight? Or maybe you're starting to come around to some of the open world leveling, at least when you're not getting ganked over and over again. Personally, I started out as a dungeon lover, but I've recently fallen in love with the open world leveling, at least on my very overpowered hunter. Speaking of falling in love, if you like this video and subscribe to the channel, you just might fall in love with me, and then you could milk me for all my gold. In the meantime, check out all my solutions to the biggest problems in Phase 2 of Season of Discovery.
No Jerome stare at the end? No! No Jerome stare at the end of the video, man. To answer the question though, real fast. What do you guys prefer over questing or dungeon farming? I'm gonna chime in with my opinions here. I love dungeon farming if I'm playing with friends. Like, if I'm playing with only, even just one person as well, like one friend, I just need to be on Discord with the people that I'm farming with, and then dungeons are fantastic, man. But if I'm playing solo, I prefer questing. Like, questing and just having fun. When I'm solo, questing is fun. Even if I'm duo, questing is also really fun, but dungeons, the only way for me dungeons are fun is when I'm playing with friends, and dungeon grinding together with people. Questing is really fun as one or two people. Duo farming as well, really great. Yeah, I love questing. I always have. I do. Especially since the hardcore days, I've been leveling so much and doing questing so much. I've just grown to like questing, man. I have. Questing is great. But also, that was a good video, talking a lot about things. And how to maximize leveling, talking both about the profits you can make, the gold you can make, increased gold rewards, what to do, both for the Waylaid supplies and to level fast. Pretty good. The only thing that I'm kind of on the fence about is his advice when it comes to the sleeping bag. Spending 15 gold on the summons when you can just naturally pick up the quest when you're doing your things there anyway. I would rather do it naturally. Like, even, I just explained this in Alliance, for example, you're in Westfall at level 10, and you can grab the Barons one, either when you're in Stone Talon, or when you're doing your Wailing Caverns, or even, like, at some point, when you're close to the Barons. And after that, Loch Modan you can pick up when you go into Wetlands, and Hillsbrad you can do when you go into Arathia Highlands. As a Horde, you can grab the Westfall one when you're doing questing in Stranglethorn Vale. You can pick up the Barons one when you're doing the Southern Barons part, and you can pick up the Loch Modan on your way to Hillsbrad, or like on your way through the Wetlands at some point. The Lochmodan one for the Horde is kind of like at a weird place, but it is what it is. And the Stone Talon one you just pick up after the Barons, right? Or as an alliance when you're on your way to Desolus, and as a Horde you're in Stone Talon 24/7 anyway. So picking up the bag quest when you're naturally doing it, instead of spending gold on the summons, or spending an hour traveling. I think last time I did this, it took me 1 hour and 15 minutes of traveling, and with the 100% experience buff, that is literally 2 levels. So you're wasting 2 levels to get the bag. I would much rather be a leech and spend that time sleeping in other people's bags to get the buff, and just naturally pick up the sleeping bag quest when I'm doing it, because you're not popping those rested experience snacks until level 35 plus anyway. So as long as you can sleep in other people's bags, there's no rush. In my opinion. If you farm it at level 30, then you lose it for 30 levels. Yeah, but you can sleep in other people's bags, so there's like no downside. I feel like. Either way, I'm gonna leave the link to the video as well, you can check it out.